Welcome back, everyone. This week we are joined by Hayden Ballantyne, the Pocket Rocket, the Peel Thunder superstar. He's got a wing named after him, the Hayden Ballantyne wing. We break all that down, but we talk finals footy, pressure, things that he misses, the relationships he has on and off the field, and something that's a little bit different, but horse training. Ballas is now a horse trainer, and we break all that down right here. It's a cracking chat. It's good to see my little mate, the bloke that put deep heat to me jocks every week. He's back in studio right here. Can't wait for you to listeners. Tune in. Aces, I know I always go on about the RIXXs, but I got huge news. We have all our styles and colours restocked on the website right now. It's been months. We ran out of stock, but we're back. Get online, grab some sunglasses at rixxeyewear.com.au right now and use our little discount code ACES if you want a 20% discount code on the house. Righto, let's get into the show. All right, everyone, welcome back to Tommy Talks. Finally, another Freo bloke in the building. Hayden Ballantyne joins us, and we're going to talk about footy finals, the Matty Scarlett, dramas. I've seen all your questions. We're going to pop them all up later on. But Ballas, great to have you, mate, and good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to be back in Melbourne.
What are you doing in Melbourne?
Playing in the AFL Nines tonight, so it's a bit of a
little
state of origin. Love cash is king.
Are you a bit nervous because that's high speed stuff, and you're quick, but the hammies, how the calves?
No, the hammies are an issue. I was playing footy last year, local club. A couple of my best mates play down there, and played 6 games, did 5 hammies. So
wow,
the hammies are just holding on by a thread. So I won't be going too hard tonight. I wouldn't have thought.
It's I'm actually going to go down and watch. Where's the Gosh's paddock? It'll be obviously done by the time we record this, but that's exciting. Mate, great to have you on. I want to talk. I think a lot of people out there that follow you know your story and know what you're doing now, but a lot that wouldn't. Tell everyone a little bit about what you're doing post-footy and what you're doing now, and we'll dive right into that at the end after we talk a bit of footy. Yeah,
so a lot of my time's taken up with horse racing. It's been a passion of mine since I was a kid. My dad's a trainer, and I always wanted to get into it, probably not this full on, but I always want to have a couple. And now we got 19 on the books and 10 in work. And got one racing on Saturday, and it's something I've loved doing, always been passionate about it. And actually, when I was 14 or 15, my dad gave me a bit of an ultimatum: either stop eating if you want to be a jockey, or start running and doing weights if you want to play footy. So it's something I've always loved, and pretty happy to be doing that.
Are you riding the horses at track work and that?
Yeah. Mainly the older ones. Like the younger horses, I'm a bit too heavy, but the older ones that are a bit stronger, I'll ride them. We'll always ride a couple each morning.
That's so elite. I've got thousands of questions, but we'll start with footy. We're going to start with footy. We're going to get to that later on. There's some good questions there from everyone that wrote in. Let's talk footy. I think we'll start with finals. It's finals this week, and there's no one better than you when it comes to forward pressure. What do you think about Freo's last game? We'll start there with their season. What are they lacking, you reckon?
Well, I think their last 4 games are just lacking the ability to finish, really. Like they're playing really good footy. It's just doing it for 4 quarters, and this let them down the last few weeks. And I was at the game on Sunday, and Rossi Lyons boys got over the line by a point or 2 points or something, and kept us alive. And then just slipped away. Port are a good side though. Like they're going really well. They finished second for a reason, but we had our chances, and we've had our chance all the way through the year. Like I think they lost 7 games by under a couple of goals. So I think they're playing good footy. I think they are lacking a finisher in the forward line, someone that can just kick a goal out of nothing, which that might be lacking. And trade periods coming up, some big names being thrown around, so there's the opportunity to get someone, I think.
There are a few. I've just seen Bakes has requested a trade. Not sure where he's going to go, but there's a lot of names. Do you miss playing?
I do. Yeah, I do miss playing. Like it's, when you're running down the race with 21 other blokes that are just super focused on winning and climbing the mountain to win a flag. So that's what I miss. That aura. Luke McFarlane, he always used to walk out behind me and just whisper in my ear, "They can't stop you." And I used to get goosebumps when he say that, and run out there like Superman, and that's the one thing I miss, and run down the race with 21 other blokes that are just got that steel focus to win a game. And I think the best thing is looking at the opposition and then looking at us thinking, geez, it's going to be a big day.
Yeah.
Like they're going to have to be on their A game to beat us. And we had 4 or 5 years like that, which I just loved.
How many years did you play in the end?
Ended up playing 11.
11. That's great. And it's a great story. Like, where did it all start? Because, your journey was a unique one at the time. Do you want to tell everyone about how it all started?
Yeah, so always loved footy, always had a footy in my hand. And then coming through juniors, played at Baldivis, then went to Peel Thunder, played a couple of years at Colts for Peel Thunder. Played state 18s, played reasonably well. I got best on in one of the games and played pretty good in the other two, thinking I'm a chance to get picked up, and missed out when I was 18. And then played 3 years of senior footy for Peel Thunder. First 2 years I was a midfielder and I was getting good numbers, like 20, 25 possessions, kicking a goal or two here and there. Playing good footy. My second year, I think I finished 4th or 5th in the Sandover and had a really good year. Thought I was getting picked up and got missed out again. So in the third year, Chris Warden was our coach, and he said, have a run in the forward line and see how you go. And I had a really good year, kicked plenty of goals, kicked 76 goals, and ended up winning the Sandover as well, and pretty much gave all the clubs no excuse to not pick me up, and luckily I got to stay in my home state with Freo.
That's so good. And growing up, were you West Coast or Freo?
I was a West Coast supporter, actually. My whole family were, and they all gradually migrated over to purple, all except my stubborn old pop. He would not change.
That's good.
But yeah, it was great to stay in my home state. I've had a couple of opportunities to move, but I'm glad I stayed with Freo and life membership now, and yes, it's something I'm pretty proud of.
One club player is special, I reckon, especially when you got the choice. Like you did have the choice. I remember my last few years and your last few years, there's a lot of talk about you going to West Coast because not many people have done that as well, especially getting a big name in town. But looking back, I reckon one club player, there's something special about it. It's just the loyalty. I reckon it is a business, but if you can do it, it'd be pretty cool walking back to that club.
Yeah, definitely. And life membership, I didn't really even think about life membership when I started. I just wanted to play, and I walked into the club and I just looked at everyone. I thought, I'll take your spot. I don't care whose spot I'm taking someone's, and I'm playing. But then to play, 150 gets your life membership. To play that and get it was probably one of the best achievements you can get, is being a life member of an AFL club. It's pretty special. Yeah,
it's great, mate. And not only that, a fan favourite. Were you always a rat bag on the field? What about when you were a kid? I guess someone like you, I always spoke to my mates like, I can't stand him. I'm like, mate, he's the best bloke you ever meet. So it's always the case, what you see on the field versus off the field. What were you like growing up? What were you like before you even got picked up? Were you always niggling blokes and getting in their skin, like getting under their skin? Was that your game plan?
Yeah, definitely. No, it wasn't really a game plan. It's just something that came natural, I suppose. It's pretty hard to be a wanker for 2 hours of football. But yeah, it's something that I've always prided myself on never taking a backward step. Didn't care who was in front of me. I just.
And where's that come from? The old man, or?
Yeah, probably. I think growing up, my upbringing was, I suppose you say, a little bit rough, but being always a smaller guy, you had to kind of walk around with your chest puffed out. Otherwise, people might look down at you. And it's something when I get onto a footy field, I just puff my chest out and don't take a backward step. But the niggle was just, I was out there to win games. I didn't care if I upset anyone. I wasn't out there to make friends. I wanted to win games of footy. And if the best defenders in the competition, they had a big target on my back, in my opinion. The other thing, when I started playing good footy, I generally had the best lockdown defender on me, small lockdown defender, and they were wankers as well. Like they were and Stevie Baker, he was nasty.
He did some things, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He taught me a lot, actually. And I just learnt, pass that on. Like what he does to me, I'll do to their best defender, and more often than not, they'd stop because the other bloke was getting a bit pissed off.
Well, give some stories. When these blokes like Bakes are on you, like what were they doing to you, and then what were you doing to other players?
So Stevie Baker, he's talked about it before. He'd punch you in the back of the elbow, and do it once, no worries. But he would just do it all game, 2 hours, just punch you in the back of the elbow. You can't feel your hands by the end of the game. Like you can't pick the footy up. He was nasty. He'd push you and poke you in the throat and step on your toes. But he was tough. Like I remember one day I lined him up. I come from 30 deep and I lined him up and I hit him so flush. This is when you're allowed to bump. And I heard the wind come out of his lungs, and he's somehow got back up, ran down and bumped me. He goes, that was a good one. And just kept on going like it didn't faze him. And just also learning that toughness. Like that's how tough you got to be to play AFL footy, particularly in those positions. So that was a learning curve playing on Stevie for the first time.
Oh, it would have been. Who was your hardest opponent looking back?
It's Graham Johncock. People ask me.
Stiffy, I think he kicked 100 goals in the local footy I saw online the other week.
Yeah, he was fast, he was strong, he was fit, and he ran off. Like he was one of the normally lockdown defenders just worry about you, where I had to worry about him running off and kicking goals on me. So he was probably the hardest player to play on. Not so much because he was stopping me, but because I had to stop him.
Yeah, it does make sense. You got to make sure you're stopping his attack because a lot of them just lock down and tag pretty much.
Yeah, which I like that because I was a pretty good runner. I'd just run up and down a few times, and they'd be cooked, and I'd get on top of them just through running.
What about your bunny? I love asking this. Now that you don't play anymore, people when they're playing, they're too scared to answer this question. But who was your bunny? Who was the bloke you used to look him in the eyes and go, I just can't wait to kick a few on you today?
Patrick McGinnity, he played at West Coast, and he was a bit of a battler, I suppose. He would have played 60, 70 games. He was fit and strong, not a great kick, but he was that lockdown. And I kicked 8 on him in the waffle, and he lined up on me. I think it was my first or second derby, and I thought, I could be in for a big day here. I ended up kicking 6 in a derby and got ripped off the medal. My big mate Aaron took the medal off me.
Didn't you get it with 6?
No, Spide had about 80 hit outs, some big marks and that, but he was one that I would always kick a few goals on. But Richmond was always a good team for me. Like I always kick goals against Richmond. Not anyone in specifically, but yeah, Richmond always had a good day against them.
Is it like that a little bit as a small forward? Like teams like when you were playing, did you know Richmond was like I always go well against Richmond? Or
a little bit. You could always see opportunities with how players would play. Like a team when Ross was still coaching Saints, you could never get any free space with Saints because they always had that roll-off. The winger would come back, they'd have roll-off defenders, and you think, sweet, I'm out here, I'm going to take an uncontested mark. And all of a sudden, this bloke comes from nowhere and spoils it. So there were teams you knew where you're going to have a hard day, and there were teams you knew like, I could really kick a bag here. And yeah, Richmond were my bag.
That's great. And then they went on and won 3.
Yeah,
good. Who are you drafted with? Who are some players that you were picked up with?
So for Freo, Stephen Hill, Nick Subin, Greggy Broaden. He was in the rookie pick, but we played a lot of footy against each other in the waffle, and we were really good mates straight away.
Some good players there in your draft.
Yeah, so Nick Nat was number 2. Yeah, I can't remember who was number 1. But yeah, there was some. It was a pretty handy draft.
Who was the most talented player you reckon you've ever played with at Freo?
Pav for sure. Talent, smarts, leadership, but he's got pretty much everything. And there's a reason he played 350 games or 360 games, whatever he played, because he was just a genius. And he'd be running down and not looking straight, and then kick it off the line without even looking at you, and he just knows you're there. And also, I'd mark the ball, turn. I knew exactly where. I think just that chemistry helped as well. We had really good chemistry together, and I always knew where he was, and he always knew where I was. He wouldn't always pass to me because he'd have a shot. But
yeah, I remember we did a couple of meetings where I was like, stop kicking it to Pav, because we'd all just see Pav and kick it to him.
Yeah, well, he's got that presence about him. Like he demands the ball, and he's generally in the right spot, but he's got 3 blokes on him most of the time.
Do you remember any? I was always thinking about stuff that I missed. It's definitely game day, and blokes like Pav yelling out stuff to defenders in the hole and all that. Yeah. Do you got any funny stories from just the forwards? Anything that you remember with Pav and the boys down there from a game in particular?
Yeah, I remember spraying Pav one game because he should have passed it to me, like 100% should have passed it to me. He had a shot and missed, and I'll give him the biggest cook, and I'm like, I hope I was right then, because you're spraying the big dog. I was like, I hope I was right. And then after the we did the review and that, he actually came, I should have passed that, and I was like, thank God he said that, because I didn't know. I thought I was right, but I wasn't 100%. But yeah, it was. He was, like I said, he was one I loved playing with, but. Maney, he was always a bit of a character out there, because I always compare 2 players with horses. Like some horses, you just work the guts out of them. They just get better and better. And others need a massage along. And Maney was the massage. You're all right, mate. You'll be okay. Well, you have an easy day today. You'll be right. And Vicky Barlow, work the guts out of him. He just gets better. And I always compare those two to how I treat the horses. Like some need the loving tide, some need a kick in the arse.
I was thinking that the simulators with horse racing and horses and the training, even that's a great one. The Maney and the Barlow, Mickey Barlow just train the guts out of it. That's elite. What's some of the fondest memories? Like, you look back, finals footy, I would imagine would be it, but like any games in particular, any moments for you?
Probably that the Sydney game that got us into the grand final, the prelim. It was just the most dominant performance I've played in. Like the way we played, the energy you felt from on field in the crowd. I've get goosebumps thinking about it. Like I only kicked 1 or 2 goals, but just the pressure that myself, Maney, all those forwards applied, Sonny, Sydney just had no answers for it. And I just felt like that was the most dominant game. The couple of weeks before when we beat Geelong, that was just a very tactical game. I think Ross just outcoached that game. He just had an amazing tactic and it just worked and we won. But just the dominance of that game that I felt that was probably the fondest game I remember. But the feeling of walking down the race, like I was talking about before, that feeling of walking down with 21 blokes that are just so focused and we all knew what we were doing. Even if you had someone was injured out and the freshie come in, you knew he was going to know what his job was. And that's something, that's one of the things I miss the most, like that professionalism and everyone's going in the same direction kind of thing. You don't really see that in the real world.
Nah, you don't. You don't get that fix.
You don't get that. No, you don't get that fixation and that, I don't know the word for it, but just that fixation on doing this repetitively until it's almost perfect.
Yeah, I guess it was the process. I mean, we used to have many games we played where we'd win, but we'd get a spray because we didn't win the right way. I think we won by 50 once and we were still copping it.
That was the Derby. I remember Lockie Neal. He won the medal. He had 40 and kicked a couple, and he got the biggest spray in the whole meeting because he did a left foot inside dink kick and it didn't pay off. And that was the biggest spray of the meeting. But yeah, that's what we were chasing. Near perfection.
I've got to bring it up. We've got questions there, but it's front of mind for me. But it's the shot after the siren. Was it after the siren?
Mm.
Yeah, the shot after the siren in the Derby. It goes down as a great moment, but it was just one of those ones. I know, but everyone will remember it. Can you just talk everyone through that and what was going through your head in the moment?
Yeah, well, Matty Roser it was actually, rushed it out and I was the closest bloke and I'd take the kick and I can't kick that far. We played a full game, siren's gone. It's basically on the junction of the 50 and the boundary. I don't think I can kick that far. I remember Quinton Lynch.
The cue stick.
He a big man. I'd try to get it over him and I didn't think I could kick that far. So I just went through my normal routine and just give it everything I had and it hits the post. So it wasn't,
the crowd thought it was in, though.
I thought it was in. I actually thought it was sailing all the way through. It was perfect, and then just the last bit just faded slightly and hits the post. But yeah, I did. To be honest, I didn't actually think I would kick that far.
Yeah, well, it's a big kick outside 50, as you said at the end of the game. What other moments from the Derby, depending on what you call it, is kind of something that you still remember? Obviously, we lost a few, we won a few.
Well, I won a lot more than I lost because that was, through that period we were monstering West Coast, to be honest, because they were a bit down and we were flying. But my first win and first Derby was that was pretty special. We only won by 8 or 9 points and absolutely cooked after the game, but it was the first win, so we celebrated that pretty hard.
Where'd you go?
Everywhere. But the Derby was always a big build-up. It's like Carlton Collingwood playing. There's that real rivalry, and you want those bragging rights for the next 3 or 4 months until the next one. But yeah, it's finals like footy. Just about every Derby's finals like footy, and that was something we always got up for.
Who's the best player you reckon you've played against at West Coast? Don't have to be on you, but someone that you go, he was my favourite to play against. Stumped you.
Daniel Kerr was, he was still playing when I was first coming through, and he was still, they were a bit down, to be honest. But he was a hard nut, good skills, gut runner. He was very good. Mark Lacroix as well. We just talked about that.
Oh yeah,
clip.
Don't remind me of him.
He had a 2010. That was my second year, I think. He kicked 50 or 60 goals in a terrible team. So he was a gun. Like, he was a very good small forward. They were probably two that really stand out.
Pretty much you and him in the papers every week who kicked the most goals every year. Finals footy. What is it about finals? Not a lot of people have played finals, but you've played in a few, and I reckon you represent finals footy, the way you go about it. And, you're just exciting to watch. Your pressure's elite. You're hard at it. You might get pumped around because you're not as big as everyone else, but that's what comes alive in finals, and that's definitely what everyone starts going, oh, that's what you got to do. What is it about finals for you that you just love?
Just you're playing against the best. Like, I loved playing against the best sides. Like, I prefer to play against who's top of the ladder than bottom of the ladder. Like, you probably kick more goals than the bottom of the ladder, but you want to test yourself and you want to beat the best players. And my first year, the last game of the season, we played Geelong, who ended up going on and winning the flag. And I just remember how they played and how nasty they were and what they did for that final series. I thought, geez, if that's what it takes, that's what I'm going to do. And that's why we always had pretty good rivalry against Geelong as well. And I used to get right into them because they got into us that game. And I never forgot it. And that really set the premises for how you need to play final. It's just hard. And the umpires let a lot go as well. Like, they let it be free flowing, and it's always exciting footy and high pressure, which that was based my game plan around high pressure footy, and I loved it. And I wish I got back there a bit more.
That's great. I can't let you get away with the Matty Scarlett question now. We're going to ask it later, but we're talking about the Cats. Break down the whole scenario. What happened? And then also what's happened since with a little jersey from your brother, I think. We'll break down the two different stories. We'll start with the on-field incident.
Yeah, so going back to my first year when we played against Geelong, Matty Scarlett stuck his knee in Pav's back. Pav was back and dropped him, like hurt him pretty bad. I remember he stood over him, and I don't know what he said, but he said something. And I didn't go out. Normally I'd just run over and get stuck in. I didn't do it, and like, no one else saw it, but that was one regret I've got in footy was I didn't go over and remonstrate, and I thought, I'll never let that happen again. And then a couple of years later, one of our first year players ran down Matty Scarlett, got him holding the ball, kicked a goal, whatever. And I just thought, here we go, and just got stuck right into him. And then he's chinned me. I'm like, he's just hit me. And I didn't know what to do, so I just threw my head back, made sure I got the free kick, and kicked the goal. And then it was back front and back page of every paper in Australia. But he got 3 weeks for it, and I actually got suspended that game too because I put a bump on Chapman, where he was our target player, and he was out on crowds. So I've come off my line and cleaned him up, and I got 2 weeks for it, and it was just for a bump. But yeah, it was always, they were always hot games playing against Geelong, and they were in that period as well. They were one of the best sides. That's why I love playing against them. That
game, because that was my first year, I reckon. That's the one Pav kicked off the ground to win the game. I think it was the start. It was the first game of the year. If you get the highlights up, if you haven't seen that game, it would have been 2012, round one. And I'll never forget that moment because this was my first game ever being in WA. I'd never been to a game. And I was like, this is unreal.
I was right behind him when he kicked that. And because I was expecting him to take it, maybe give me a little cheap handball
it's one of the greatest goals.
And he just kicked out of mid-air. I'm like, and it looked like a perfect snap. It just timed it perfect, went through, and the big Maverick did the celebration.
And we're all sitting when he celebrated, he used to put us up up the bleachers, but all the family, that's where he gave us the fist bump. And I'm like, this is like a show. I was
trying to give him a high five. He wanted nothing to do with me. He was just fist pumping to the crowd.
And then we won and just beat them, which was, it was a great start.
And they'd won the flag the year before. So we were... Yeah. And it was Ross's first game as well. So
there's just so much going on, so much build up.
Yeah, and you wanted to have a good start with a new coach and against the reigning premiers, and it was an amazing game.
Amazing. Did you ever talk to Scarlett ever again after that? Was there any moments where you'd cross paths before this?
Yeah, so we played them in the finals that year as well in the MCG.
Oh, that was a great game with them as well.
And we rolled them there as well. And I remember I tackled him and really put a bit in. And then I kind of helped him up. And I've only ever helped up one other bloke, and that was Chris Judd, because he was my idol. And I helped him up, and it was kind of like just a little nod,
little respect.
Then we jogged off to our position, and it's once you're on the field, like you cross that white line, it's on. And after it's like, I'd have a beer with just about anyone I played against. Like, don't hold any grudges. They're out there to win a game, so am I. So I don't hold any grudges.
Yeah, it's great. I don't think he would either. Talk to us about the jersey. Well, how did all that come about? Because there was a jersey that landed in your lap.
Yeah, it did. So for my birthday, my little brother Mitchell, he wanted to get a jersey from Matty Scarlett for me, and I had no idea about it, obviously. Anyways, rang up Geelong and said, Hayden's brother, I want to try get a jersey from Matty Scarlett. And she said, we'll give him your number, and if he wants to do it, he'll give you a buzz. And anyway, about a week later, he gets a call. He goes, hey, mate, it's Matt Scarlett. I heard you want to get a jersey for your brother. And he actually thought it was someone pranking him. So he goes, is it really? He goes, yeah. He goes, how many games you play? He was like trying to get credentials.
Really?
Yeah, is it actually him? And anyway, he's got it done, and we went out for dinner for my birthday, and he's brought this jersey in signed by Matty Scarlett. It's got his top 5 or 6 accomplishments, and number 1, punching you in the chin. Number 2, 6 All-Australians, But then at the bottom it says, would have loved playing with you. Like, signed Matty Scarlett. So it's bit of a laugh, and then a little bit of respect as well.
Great touch. And one of the greatest has done it.
Oh, 100%.
And that's forget how good he was.
He was so good. He was an amazing defender, and that's, for me, that's why he had a target on his back.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool, man. That's so cool. I think we should talk about the granny. It's not a great day but it almost was. What do you think, like, for all the Freo members out there that would have watched it and you've played in it, what do you think we'd do differently?
Kick straight.
That's what it comes down to, doesn't it? Just kicking straight.
So the one stat I remember Ross saying was we had 17 marks inside 50, and any game that season, if you had 17 marks inside 50, more than 15 marks inside 50, you win. Every game with those 15 marks, and we had 17, and we just didn't kick straight. It was as simple as that. I thought we played our guts out. There was no regrets from that game. Aside, there was huge disappointment, but there was no regrets because we all busted our ass that game. We played as hard and as to the game plan that Ross set as we could. It was just it wasn't bad luck. It was just wasn't our day. And I don't want to make that as an excuse, but because we did try so hard that game and gave everything, there wasn't a whole lot of regrets. It was just huge disappointment that we just didn't. We didn't kick the goals. It's
the game plan that we had was hard, wasn't it? Like, I remember watching and talking to other players, even from Hawthorn, and they used to win so many, trophies, and it's almost like they were so smart. But I felt like we're definitely smart, but geez, we worked hard. Like, our systems, you had to be so fit to do a lot of the things that we had to do on team defence and whatnot. And you wonder if that sometimes comes into it with fatigue. Set shot. I guess on that day it doesn't. It's just that was a bit of a,
I don't think it was. I think we were that conditioned. Like, we ran the game out the whole way. Like, I missed a shot in the last 10 minutes that wouldn't have put us in front, but we were a goal closer. And so I don't think it was that. Like you said, we were so fit. Like, I thought I was fit and professional. Then Ross got there, and I thought, I ain't fit and I ain't professional. He called me a little fat small forward. You might have been there. Little fat little small forward. How about you run? I was like, Jesus. But yeah, that was, but that's what I loved. I loved having that someone keeping you accountable, because even though I thought I was professional, like, I really wasn't. I was, pulling the piss out of myself, really. So having someone like that to keep you accountable, and then empowering everyone else to keep you accountable, like, that's why we were so sharp, I think.
Yeah, we were sharp. It was something that you don't really get anywhere.
No, that's what I mean.
I always have a laugh. People don't believe me, some of the things that we'd get told. It's just ruthless.
Yeah, it was. But I loved it. Like, I thrive on that shit. Like, I wish I had something like that in the real world now, where it's just, there's a lot of mediocrity in the real world. But yeah, when you find someone like that can really push you along, you stick with them, because they're the ones that will make your life a lot easier in the long run.
What did you learn about yourself after a loss like a grand final?
I was always brought up, go have a cry or do something about it. Like, if you want to sook about it, no worries, go sook about it. Or get on your horse and start working harder and be better. And that was how I was brought up, basically. So that year, 2013, I had a reasonably good year, kicked 30, 40 goals or something, and I think it was in the All-Australian squad. And I had a reasonably good year. And then that huge disappointment. And then, we commiserated, made sure and I just had that burning desire the next year to get back there. Like, I just wanted it so much. And 2014 was by far my best year. Kicked plenty of goals and ended up being All-Australian, but got injured a few times too. Like, broke my jaw twice, did a hammy, and that kind of let me down. But I thought 14 was our best chance to win it. But injuries got a hold of us. Like, first final, I broke my jaw. Pab was running around with a hammy. I think Jono had a calf. Luke McFarlane had a calf. Some key players that were running around injured or not playing at all. So that's the one thing I learnt from a big loss like that, is a bit of resilience to get back on the horse and be better, basically.
And it's good because there's a lot of people out there that they don't have the AFL Grand Final, but they've got something. And if you don't get it, you got two choices, like you said. You can kind of soak it up or keep working. And, and you learn a lot from those periods. We'll go to a little bit of that's the footy element, but I guess you're a prankster. And you taught me how to. I mean, I was a prankster as well, and we did a couple of good pranks. But I did one, and I've always told this story, and I got you in a lot of trouble. And I've never owned up. I think you found out because I've done this before. I've told the story about a year ago, but I want to hear your story, your side from it. I'll never forget. It was my first few weeks. You were doing pranks to everyone, and I thought, fuck it, I'm going to intercept this, and I'm going to hide Maney's boots on the day off so that when he comes in, he can't find his boots to train. I think this is hilarious. But then I didn't realise I was going to get tapped out of training because my groin squeezes were too high. I had to go I was doing bench press on my own, in the gym doing like upper body. And all of a sudden, hell's broken loose. They're like, get off the track.
Because
I'll never get, like, Jason Webber's like, everyone in here now.
Yeah.
Who the fuck has Maney's boots? Because he had that special heel in his boot.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I don't know what's going on because I'm in the gym, music's on, and then all of a sudden everyone's going, Ballas, fucking where's his boots? And you're like, you're about to knock blokes out. Like, it wasn't me.
I was getting so wild because everyone's pointing the finger at me. I was like, if I did it, I'd tell you because I want to get out there and friggin' train. And everyone's pointing. I'm like, just back the fuck up. I was getting real wild. And I didn't even know it was you until, because you said, let's just look for him or whatever. And then we ended up finding him. But yeah, that was.
I've never been closer to passing out. I was like, if I own up, I'm fucked. Like, the boys are getting like, they can't trust me. So I'm not owning up here because they don't even know who I am. And I just thought, I've just got to help find one of them, and then hopefully the boys will just blame Ballas. They blamed you all week.
Yeah, I know. I kept on saying, if it was me, I would have told you. Like, because I want to go track.
Who would it be? And I remember, like, I'd walk by people and they're like, I reckon it's him. And I'd be like, man, I reckon it could be him.
Yeah. Nah, that was, it was, now in hindsight, it was funny, but at the time it was,
it was bad. It turned real bad because it was like, it's stopping us from training. Even Pav got up and goes, who the fuck was it?
Because Maney was a good target of mine. He was very easy to stir up. Doesn't matter what you do.
What was some great pranks you did? Because I remember you telling me a few, and you did a few to me, but what were some of your favourite ones?
Oh, the bucket of ice water in the shower, that was always a classic. Like, Kepler used to cop that. One of the funnier ones, so Anthony Morabito, he tried to get on the prank issue as well, and he put Deep Heat in mine and Brock O'Brien's. We were like the little tricycle at Preo. We were best mates, and he put Deep Heat in our jocks. So I've put my jocks on to go see the physio, and I'm talking to the physio. I'm starting to rub. I'm like, what's going on here? So, Jeff, there's something wrong here. And I've had to run to the shower and start washing off because I'm thinking, I didn't know what was going on. And Morrow had put deep heat in our jocks, and it burnt something horrible. Anyway.
Which you did to me, by the way, in a meeting when I was fucking sitting there for a whole meeting, team defence with me balls on fire. And you just turning around smiling like, I'm like, you are a dog.
I learned, I learned from other people's. But then, so we thought we'll get this bloke back. So we took his car keys, took his car. There's 2 high-rise car parks in Freo, and we parked him the second highest floor on one of them. And we took the card back, the cards he can go pay, took that back and put it back in his locker with his keys and said, "Good luck, son." So he had to walk up. He went straight to the top floor of the first one and wasn't there. So then he thought, oh no. So he had to walk around the hole, wasn't in the first one. So he had to go to the second one and do the same thing. So once training had finished, took him another 2 hours to go find his car.
That is a beauty, man.
It's safe to say he didn't play any pranks on us again.
No, once you go hard, people do back off.
They do, yeah.
There's a few pranks that do get around. I remember at one of our old teammates, I think I went round to his house because he did something in my car and I'm like, I'm going to get him back. So I put 12 eggs on his car and put tuna in his handles, the door handles. And, mate, the eggs cooked the paint on his car. So when he drove to the club, he's ropeable. And I'm like, and again, didn't know nothing. Yeah. I'm not fucking paying for that paint job.
The other one I did is Maney. So in his house, I put 2 tins of tuna in the gutters just above his front door. And obviously that got pretty putrid after a little while.
Oh, he stink because it's so hot.
But he couldn't work out where the smell was coming from.
Would he come to the club and complain?
Yeah, and I didn't actually tell him about it because I forgot. I did it, and then he's talking about it, and it reminded me. But yeah, that was a classic.
Manny was a little bit of a pet. You guys used to just play with the main dog. He was an easy target, wasn't he?
You'd pull at his heartstrings pretty easy.
Even Mad Monday, Manny would put on a clinic. Manny's changed a lot these days. We try to tell people, and he won't like us talking about the old Chris Mann because he's very straighty 180 these days, but we got the best version of him, didn't we? 100%.
What big main doggy? What is he called? Something like that. But yeah, he was easy. He was an easy target, but someone I love playing with too because you knew what you're going to get every week.
Some of the best pressure playing that high half forward role I've ever seen. What about you, the organiser? The boat parties are something that we do talk about. People wouldn't understand, but you would be able to give a better insight. The Christmas boat parties are one of my favourite things to do, but talk about what you inspired and Kepler would have to do to organise these and when they'd occur and how important they were for the group.
Well, the importance of it mainly was just bonding. Like you get some fresh kids in, take them out for the night, and like people don't like talking about it now, but having a few beers with your mates and having that honest chats and talking about your life over a few beers, like you open up more. And like people saying it's not the right thing to do and all that, that's bullshit. Like when you want to have a good chat with someone, you have a beer. Well, this is me personally anyway. You go have a few beers, have a good chat, and you open up a bit more. And I thought that was a great opportunity every year to go. We get on a boat, we'd cruise up and down the Swan River, have a few beers, have a good chat, a few punishments, just to bring just to bring all the big heads like T-Train back to reality and make sure they knew who was boss. But it was always just light-hearted stuff and just have a bit of fun and get to know everyone and I suppose work out a bit of hierarchy too.
It was definitely a hierarchy operation, and you realise you're right down the bottom of the food chain when you're a young bloke. But as a young guy, that's what you want. You kind of want to see who the big dogs are, and you get to know a lot of people on the piss, don't you? You can see when people talk, who listens. Because when there's 45 blokes blind on a boat, you start to go, well, there's the enforcer there, you, Spide, Kepler, got to keep out of their way. Yeah. But that was some great days. I think a lot of people wouldn't realise that how important they are is at the end of pre-season before people would go home for Christmas, a boat party, and dress all the first years up like clowns.
It's exactly it's a bonding session, and you really like I some blokes that I probably hadn't even hardly spoken to through the whole of pre-season, you'd make a point of getting them over, drink this boy, and then you have a chat to him. Like you just well, if he does it well, you give him a pat on the back. If he doesn't do it well, have another one. So it's like it's it's just something that, and then they just open up and they have a chat to you. And some real quiet kids will hardly talk unless they've tipped a couple in. They just open up and they want to engage with you and they want to talk to you. And it's just the bonding you get from that is something that I think clubs are missing out on now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think some still do it, but some don't. Let's go to some questions because I know there's a lot of footy questions. Then we'll get into the horse racing and how you're a trainer and you're doing great things. I'm going to fly through because there's a lot of them. And thanks to everyone that wrote in. I put a little story up once I heard Ballas is in town. What's the worst thing an opposition player has said to you? From Mark Clare.
Oh, fuck.
That you can say on the podcast.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can say on the podcast, really. Oh, actually, It wasn't bad or anything, but it just rocked me really. I remember we were playing against Collingwood, and I chased down Dane Swan, tackled him, got him to the ground, and he goes. So Chris Tarrant played at Fremantle, and they're really good mates. And I don't know, I pushed Swanee or something like that, and he goes, Taz said you're a fucking good bloke, but you shit at footy. And I'm like, Jesus, that went straight through the heart. And it just had me thinking for the rest of the game. Taz really say that?
Yeah, just flaming.
That's
good. That's good for the mentals, that. What's the best thing Ballas has gotten away with on the field that no one would know from Bryce?
It was Western Bulldogs defender 42. I'm good with numbers, not names. Picken, yeah. So Picken. He used to play on me all the time. He's like that lockdown type player. And he played on me all the time. And he always used to hold on like really bad. And I was out this game. I was going to run in. We were working the ball down one wing and I was running towards goal and I had him cooked. But then he grabbed me and pulled me back and I just turned around and went whack and right in the bird cage. And he just dropped to the ground like, oh no. So I've jumped on top of him, pretended like rolled him over on me and like pretended like he was wrestling me.
Oh, really?
I would have got 3 weeks because I cracked him right in the ribs and rolled him over. And then once he caught his wind, pushed him off and we got back up and
that's elite.
got away with it.
I was going to say, you wouldn't be able to get away with anything with all the cameras, but it's a good question. Best Ross story?
Funniest thing about Ross that we always used to watch was his post-game conferences with the media.
Yeah.
Like, he's a football coach, not a media person, but he used to teach the media people how to talk. Like, he was just brutal. And I'll never forget that one. We played down in Geelong in the final and beat Geelong. Ryan Crowley was tagging, I don't know, I think he started on someone, but then he got moved to Stevie J because Stevie J dominated the first quarter. And then this bloke asked this question, something about dirty tactics on what Ryan Crowley was using. And Ross just, Ross's the eyes just turned and he goes, what's your name? Shane. You mean you watch 2 hours of football and that's the best question you can come up with? You're quite brilliant, Shane. And it's like,
yes.
Just whack. And they were unreal. And even the way, like there was one, I don't know where it was, and there was only one reporter, and he goes, 2 men come in, 1 come out.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hope you're fucking ready.
That was good. I saw that.
It's like this where he comes up, but he was like that walking through the corridors too.
Yeah.
Like he'd just say something, and like it just like where does that come from?
What I couldn't read with him is because he would rip you in half, but then he would walk straight by you 10 minutes later and have a laugh
Talk
with you.
about the weekend.
And then you'd go back to him with a gag and he'd be like,
yeah,
fucking bring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, you can never read where you're at with this with a great man. But
I think that's like, because he's a brilliant coach, brilliant. What goes on in his head, most brilliant people like that, they have 50 things going on in their head at once and something comes out and it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah, very rogue.
But yeah, he rattled us a few times. But that's one of the things I love watching was the post-game media conferences. Dave
has written, who was one of your favourite teammates to play with? Maybe a few instead of one.
Yeah, well, Pav's an obvious one. David Mundy, just the way he delivered. David Mundy and Stephen Hill, sorry. When they had the ball and they had 2 metres of space, it was hitting your chest. Like they were just silky smooth.
And the ball flight. People don't understand. Like you don't pepper the ball in.
It hits your hand soft.
Yeah.
Like gets there quick, but still hits your hand soft, and you're just an easy layup mark.
I still tell people. I mean, Dave. Once Dave retired, it was just as you talk about someone in the forward half just finishing. That's what he used to help finish. Goals and help put them on people's chest. But Stephen Hill is the most underrated player. People like at training. I've never seen a bloke explode out of a stoppage like him, and then put it on someone's chest. Yeah. 50 metres away, and it doesn't matter where it is. He was such a good footballer. I think he was someone that I just wish I had his speed. Watching him, I was like, I just can't keep up with that.
And like you said, underrated, but within the club, he was number one. Yeah. He was the man. If Stephen runs past, you give him the ball, and there's a reason. If he had 25, we're generally winning because he just set us up so much.
How did your romance start with Big Sandy?
Mad Monday, and that's what I mean with the bonding. Like. He doesn't talk to many people. He barely knew anyone's name for the first 6 months, 12 months. But Mad Monday, he said, "You're sitting here." And I'm like, "Yes, boss." And then that was it. We just hit it off. And I think because he knew I had that bit of shit in me as well, and which you wouldn't think it, but he has that as well. And we're very similar IQs as well.
Very simple men.
Pav or Luke McFarlane would say a big word, and we sit next to each other in the meeting. We'd look at each other and say, "What? You got that one or what?" But yeah, we're on a very similar wavelength. Very. He's very easygoing. I'm very full on. So I suppose there's a bit of yin and yang. And he always, when you talk about the eyes, when he used to see my eyes go, it's the only time he'd really stand up and say, "Come here, sit down for a bit." Calm down, little boy. But and that was from my first year onwards. We were pretty tight.
It's I was looking at some photos before of you two walking off the field together. It's just amazing. Two great mates, one very small and one very large. It's just awesome.
That was a pretty special moment. That playing our last game together, albeit we didn't win, but being able to go off together, go for a lap with the kids together, and that night we reenacted. I put him on my shoulders, and my back was a bit sore the following day.
That's a good effort by you, but you're fucking strong. I know that. Favorite footy trip story that you can share from Ruben Evans?
The first one that I ever went to, we went to Macau. That was our first year. We went to Macau's just off Hong Kong. It's like the Vegas of Asia, basically. And we gone there, and Nick Subin, who was also a first year, he was a very nervy type of guy, and so I remember we're in this bar somewhere, and there were these two Australian Federal Police. I knew they were straight away, so I've gone over to introduce me, say, "Hey boys, how you going?" And I said, "See this bloke over here? Should we stitch him up?" And I said, "Yeah, sweet." So later on, these blokes have gone up to Nick Subin and said, "What have you done, mate? What have you done?" He goes, "What do you mean?" He starts all getting real nervous.
Sweating in that.
The Yakuzas are after you. They know everything about you. They know you from Ballarat. They know you play footy. They know your mum's name and your dad's name. And the cops actually said their names because I told them all the info. And he's come right. I remember watching his face, and he's just turned and ran to Pav. "Pav, the Yakuzas are after me. I don't know what to do. They know my mum's name. They know everything about me. What do I do?" And I let him sweat for about 20 minutes. I had to tell him, "It's just a stitch up, mate. Don't worry." But yeah, that was quite funny.
I love how he ran to Pav like, "Dad, it's fucking gold." Oh, I nearly skipped this. If anyone hasn't been to WA, especially Peel Thunder, which we both love, talk about the Prince of Peel, the Prince of Perth, the Mayor of Mandurah, where I'm sitting next to him. And if you've played footy at Peel Thunder's home ground, there's a wing, and it's the Hayden Ballantyne wing, and it's famous. Everyone talks about it. Let's go back and talk about how did that happen? How did you get your own wing?
So obviously being affiliated with Peel for a long time, I won the Sandover, and I got a phone call from the president at the time, John Ditchburn, and said, "Oh, do you want to come down to the luncheon for our first game?" And I said, "Yeah, sweet, sounds good." And I've gone down, had the lunch, and I've looked across the oval, and there's this dirty, he didn't even tell me what it was there. He goes, "This dirty big wing with my name on it." And I've looked around, and I was 21 years old. I thought that only happens when you're old, retired with grey hair. And it was semi-embarrassing at the time, but now I go down there and I show me kids and they think it's the most amazing thing ever. But we played against Richmond down there, and Jack Rewalt, he just got stuck into me for the whole game. What's going on, mate? You're 22 years old now. You got a wing. What's going on?
That's good though. It's not like your last name's a short last name. It's massive. A massive sign.
And then because Peel are affiliated with Freo, all the games are played down there. All you can see on the far side when you're watching Vision is my name on the far side. But it's something pretty cool to show the kids.
But you were one of those guys, as we were talking about before, that got overlooked in the draft, a bit like Mickey Barlow as well. But you're the mature age before mature ages were a thing, you know, like not that you were, like when I say mature, like 21, you're still young, but it's like 18, then you kind of like felt like it was bust back then. So you were kind of a bit of a trailblazer in a sense to come out of the waffle and do what you've done at that age. And yeah, you would have been, I mean, you wouldn't have been playing at Peel much, but at the end of your career, maybe you would have been looking at the wing, at the sign, but it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I played one game my first year at Freo and had a good game. And, yeah, I didn't play another one for 8 or 9 years, I think. I had to come back through when I was injured.
I just thought of a story before. Me and Sleuthy were, Hayden Sleuth, we both got drafted together. He was rookie. But you and Sonny one day just absolutely toyed with us. I'll never forget it. We were playing, it was at Subi. Yeah, it was at Subi, and it was a practice match. And, I was the first round pick. I thought, I can go all right. I've never really played halfback, especially against blokes that quick and talented like you two. And I've never learnt a bigger lesson in my life. You want to talk about what a handover is? Me and I think you just kicked 11 between you, and you were actually laughing at us. And I go, Sleuthy, man. I remember he wasn't as fit. I reckon I was probably a bit fitter, like running. He's probably quicker. And we were just both blowing up. Like, I can't keep up with them, man. They're too quick. They're fucking taking the piss. Do you remember that game?
I do, yeah.
You just embarrassed us.
But when we knew, because you see the board and you knew who was playing on us, me and Sonny we actually didn't say anything. We just looked at each other and just gave the nod. So we just stood next to each other the whole game. And you just do flips back and forth. That's the other thing with chemistry with a bloke like Sonny and me, we're very similar. We just knew where each other were and what we were going to do. We just did flips and little blocks, because a little block, if you put one little block on, you get 10 metres straight away.
Crossovers, everything, like just things that you cannot stop. You only need a metre, but you were getting 5. It's like, honestly, I was like when we were watching the tape, we were just getting ripped. I was like, what are we meant to do here? Like, a lot.
There's a bit of a confidence booster going into round one for me and him.
We went up and about. Here we go. What else have we got? The wings question there. Is it a thrill being able to train horses for Bob Peters in Perth?
So I had 10 or 12 of Bob's come through my stable, and probably 3 of those were really good horses. One's racing in Melbourne at the moment, actually, Frigid. And
that's a good horse. That's with the pink colours.
It was good just to get a feel for what a serious horse feels like, because I had a few city winners before that. But nothing of her calibre. Like when you sit on a horse like that and you get a feel for just the
what does it feel like? Because I've never sat on a horse.
Just raw power, just raw power, and
bit musclier.
They look the same. They've got obviously got a bigger ticker, bigger lungs, and just a mind. They have a mindset where they want to be in front of everything, and they just go and they don't stop. And
is there a thing when you obviously push them and whip them? And is there something you say? You ever go,
If you stand at the top of if you stand at the 200 metre mark at a racetrack, you'll hear the jockeys screaming. They're screaming at them.
Yeah,
and that it's a fight or flight instinct. They get a fright, they run faster. It's just an instinct that they have. And when you sit on a proper horse and you get a feel for the raw power, but you can hear it as well in their feet, like the steps they're making, the strides. You can hear the speed of how fast their turnover is on the fast ones, and it's pretty cool to sit on a real serious horse.
I'm getting excited about that. We're going to talk about this very shortly. We're going to close out these questions. There's a couple more here. How close were you to going to the Eagles, or was it all just speculation from Peter Harris?
No, there was an offer on the table. Yeah, there was an offer there, and
what was it? Juicy?
No, it was actually a pay cut, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a pay cut. But yeah, there was it was a conversation that my manager and the clubs were having, and I just said to Cole, mate, just do what you got to do, and ultimately made the choice to stay at Freo, and like I said, I was pretty happy to be a one club player and finish my career there.
Which one of your girls is more likely to follow in your footsteps to the top level of football?
Well, the eldest one had one season, and she ended up being very good. She runner-up in the BNL. It was only under 13s, or she was 13 at the time, so it's not a high grade. But the middle one, she's just a freak athlete, just very good runner. She's a gymnast, very good at that. She's one of the youngest level 8 gymnast in WA, which is pretty good. And she toys the idea. She never played, but when she kicks a footy with like friends and that, you just see she's got it if she wants it. But we don't pressure them to do things they don't want. And the youngest one, Vogue, she's played 2 years of Auskick. She loves it. She's probably hasn't got the talent that Avery has, the middle one, but she loves it, which is the main thing. And she's actually the pressure. Like, it's only Auskick, but she's getting in their face and putting smothers on. Like, kids don't really smother at Auskick, but that's what she loves. See my smother? Like, the
dirty one.
Yeah, just loves it. Yeah, the 1%ers. So we don't pressure the kids to do anything. We just, to be honest, I don't really encourage footy too much because, injuries, girls are 33% more chance of doing a knee, and, that can have a big effect on them. But I don't encourage them or do anything to say do this or do that. They do what they want, and we just support them. They love it.
Yeah, it's good parenting.
I wish they didn't do Pony Club though, because ponies are fucking expensive.
Well, yeah, I know. Pony Club would be actually. That'd be really expensive. Yeah. What does that sting you?
A bit. Yeah.
Well, you're in the industry.
Yeah,
though.
That helps. Like, I can put the feet under the race horses, but the buying of a pony, it's not cheap.
We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about horse racing now, and we'll start it off with. I think again, when I first got to Perth, there's a lot going on when I first got there. But you and Nick Subin just won the Perth Cup. And if you know anything about the Perth Cup, think about when we're recording this podcast, the Melbourne Cup. Well, the Perth Cup is it's pretty big over there, and it's very hard to do. And your old man trained it, and you owned it, and it was paying some juicy odds from memory. I obviously didn't get on it, but I heard about it when we were back at training, and that moment would have been something special, especially now being a horse trainer. But break down the day, and did you think you were a chance, and even the training performance that went into it? Yeah,
so we bought Talent Show.
Good name, that Talent Show.
Yeah, so Nick Subin, he's never owned a horse, and he's never owned one since. He's won his Perth Cup.
One and done.
Yeah, one and done. But yeah, we had a quarter, and Dave Strom, another great mate, he had a quarter with another mate, and leading into the Perth Cup, she actually runs in the Cox Stakes, I think it's called, that she ran fourth, but huge run. Like, she was flying late, doing her best work the last 100. And she was first emergency for the Perth Cup. And she probably wasn't going to get a start. Then the day before, Adam Durant scratched one of his horses. He had 2 in the race. He scratched one of his horses, and she gets a run. She's paying $68, and I've had a good crack. And
68's juice.
Yeah, but first emergency, thinking we're not going to get a run here.
You get your money back if it doesn't?
Yeah. If it's non-starter. And my missus had booked this festival up in the Swan Valley. So I'm like, can we can this? No, we're going. I'm like, God. So happy wife, happy life. We go to this music festival, and I didn't get to go watch me horse race. Anyway,
not thinking it was a chance.
I thought she was a. I went each way on me bet.
Yeah.
So I thought she was a chance to do something. More hopeful than confident of winning. And anyway, I'm listening to the race, and because this is before you could get tab touch on your phone. I'm listening to it on the radio over your phone. We're in the Swan Valley, no reception, and it's dropped out. And she's second last coming around the turn. I'm thinking, oh fuck, she's no chance anyway.
Oh.
Anyway, so I've put my phone away, and then about 10 minutes later, I've looked at my phone. I've got 17 messages on my phone. I'm like, what's going on here? First one was Anthony Grover, you wanker. I'm like, hey. And then it was everyone telling me we've won the Perth Cup, and I've thrown my phone into the crowd. I'm like, oh my God. We've won the Perth Cup, and I can't remember what I won, but I had a good dip at it. And anyway, I've given me card to one of the boys. Go load up, get as much piss as you can, bring it over for everyone. We had a good crew there. And we've watched the race, and she was actually second last on the turn, and just Jared Noski, he rides a lot for me now. He just rode an absolute treat straight through the gap, and she just let down like you wouldn't believe, and just flew home and won. And then the bloke who scratched his horse, Adam, his horse ran second.
Oh, there you go.
Mr. Moe, that was the favourite, and that was a very, very good horse. And we just rolled it. So it was amazing experience. I wish I was there, but something that was pretty cool.
Oh, I can't wait for that to be clipped up. That'll be elite, just running. I love a swooper. There's nothing better than watching a swooper, especially, there is. If they come second, you can't stand them. Well, mate, I guess I'm really interested in horse training, because I've always wondered, I own a little percent in a horse, but I've been looked after, but I've got a lot of mates that have horses, especially my mates' dads, and they lose a lot of their money. But the one thing when I say lose a lot of money, they don't have any winners, right? And I always go, what are the trainers actually doing with the horses at track work? And they sometimes go, I don't fucking know. I said, but do you ever ask them the training program? I'm just very interested. And I think what you're doing in the way you're applying all your, elite AFL experience, and then kind of, as you said, you're talking about horses like Mickey Barlow or Chris Mayne and how to treat them. But I've always found it fascinating. What do horse trainers actually do with horses to prepare them for a race? How much work do they do? Are they doing a pre-season, or are they just galloping and making them feel good, doing strides, and then getting them. I'm really interested to know what you do with your horses before they go to the track.
Yeah, so I grew up riding track work for me dad. Like I started riding when I was 12, so that's probably helped build up a bit of strength as well. But it's so I learned a lot of the basics there, and then when I bought my first horse, Little Mankind, I just asked questions to everyone. And I've had some great mentors. I've had some ones that have burnt me too, but I've had some great. Dave Harrison, he showed me his whole program, how he builds them up. Neville Parnham, Trevor Andrews, those guys, they give you their knowledge. They're a bit older. I don't think they mind me saying they're a bit older, and they just pass. They don't mind handing over knowledge. Yeah, just because they don't mind helping the next generation. They've won all their big races. They don't care and they enjoy having a bit of competition. So, but from asking all these questions and what they've told me, I've broke it down. It's exactly like how we do it. We have a big pre-season. They have an 8-week block of groundwork where you build them up slow, lots of Ks in their legs.
How many
for
Ks?
The first month. So you start out probably 3 Ks per day, 4 or 5 times a week.
Yep.
You build that up slowly. You're getting up to about 6 Ks a day, a couple of days a week, and then a bit lighter the other days. And after 4 or 5 weeks, you build up the pace, so you get a bit faster, a bit of 3/4, evens is quicker again, and then flat out gallop is probably week 6. You get up 6 or 7, you get up to flat out. And then week 8 or 9, they're just about ready to trial. And trial's like a pre-season game. Sometimes they have 1, sometimes they have 2, sometimes they have 3, just depending on what type of horse they are. And then they're ready to race. Then you're just managing them. So we'd have 2 main training sessions a week, same as them. They do 1 3/4 pace, 1 gallop, not a balls out gallop like a race, but like just a 200 or 400 metre dash up. And that's just to blow the cobwebs out basically. But you're still doing lots of slow work, lots of trot canter, a bit of the 3/4, just so they keep that base of fitness there. But you don't really have to flog them with a gallop too often leading into a race.
What about the recovery side of it?
Yeah, beach. We go to the beach
Just
flat
take
out.
them to the beach.
Yeah, go to the beach a lot. Physio, they get physio, acupuncture.
Really? Full massage?
Yeah, not. So the massage gun, use a massage gun a fair bit.
Yeah.
Medication, similar to us, cortisone. Like you got a bad ankle, what do? Jab it with a cortisone.
Yeah.
Keeps you going for a couple of months. So same as them, they get, they're 500 kilo animal and their legs are skinnier than, well, maybe not as skinny as yours, but yeah, the skinnier legs, they jar up in their knees and their fetlocks and all different joints. So they're very, very similar treatment and processes to what we do.
When you see a horse, I used to always laugh at my mates. We'd go down to Flemington and we'd look at the horses in the yard. He goes, "Oh, geez, it looks well, that thing," And I used to laugh and go, "All right, we'll get on it," with no idea. What looks well? How do you describe a horse that's well in its coat?
In its coat, so nice shine.
So it's got to be shiny.
Yeah, nice shine. But then, where we train, we're not in stabling, I suppose you'd say, like on-course stabling, where they're sheltered 24/7. They got lights to keep, so you can dictate how much light they get during the day, because that dictates what their coat does, whether they grow a winter coat or not. So when they grow a winter coat, they look like woolly mammoths, but it's a natural thing to do. Where we're stabled, we're in the bush, like they got trees around. They're not enclosed all the time, so they get a bit woolly and a bit mangy sometimes. But when they say a horse is looking well, like on their toes, bright-eyed, looking around, but still calm at the same time. Like when you see a horse sweating up, they're a bit stressy. Like
that's no good.
That's not a great thing. They're a bit stressed. They're burning too much energy. Like who was someone that got real nervous for games?
Oh, probably
Maney.
Maney. He'd
be stressing out.
Suves would be one.
Yeah, so like they're stressing out before a race. They're burning a bit of energy. It's not ideal. So sweaty horse isn't ideal. But yeah, just something. It is right. Like they're looking well, but that's got nothing to do with how they're going to perform. Like if they're looking well, it's a good sign. They're eating right and their body's feeling okay. But it's got nothing to do with the race. It doesn't. It's the ticker inside.
Well, it's like we're talking about Lukey Ryan. I mean, you look at the rig on it and you go, no way, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
And speaking of Lukey Ryan, he was one of the guys that bought into Mankind. Who were the ownership group? It was an elite group.
Yeah, so
that was your first horse, yeah, and the boys backed you in.
Yeah, so the first horse was Little Mankind. It was the BLT, so Brendan, Luke, and Tay. They bought a share. I think they had 20% between the three of them. Alex Pearce, Joel Hamling.
Brando Materials.
Brando was in. Dave Bailey, one of the great men.
Great man.
Stromy. Yeah, there was a great crew.
Dave jumped in as well. What a legend.
Yeah,
I didn't know that Dave was in that.
He's been in a few. We just retired his last one, so he's due to jump back into another one soon.
Well, Dave, if you're watching and listening, mate, come on, give Ballas a call.
But yeah, they jumped on board and showed a bit of support. And I was still playing footy when I bought him, so you need a bit of an outlet when you're playing footy. It's just something to not think about footy for a little while. And he was my outlet. I'd get up early, go work him, and then come to footy training. So, but yeah, he ended up winning 6 or 7 races and just got better and better. He loved a wet track. Like he was a tough little bugger.
I love horses that love wet tracks because it's just easy to read the form. Yeah, this thing's going to keep running. The rest of it goes backwards.
And he's a tough little bugger. Like he rarely ran out of the top 5. Like there was if he ran out of the top 5, there was obviously something wrong. But had 40 starts. I think he won 8 actually. I think he won 8. Ran a heap of places.
He'd lead, wouldn't he? Would he lead?
He's done it from everywhere. He's come from the back. He's led. He's done it all. His first win he led, and got the win. All the boys were there. They were dressed in shorts and a hoodie. I think Tay had thongs on. One of them had thongs on and had to borrow some of his shoes, but for the photo. So yeah,
they can't get in the area.
Can't get in the enclosure. But yeah, he was great fun. He ended up winning 300 grand or something.
So good.
It was good fun.
What's it like winning a race? Like your first one, was that a pretty cool feeling?
Yeah, that was unreal.
It's a bit like your first game and all that, something like that.
Yeah, 100%. And his last win as well was really good because we nearly retired him because he ended up having bad feet, so took a lot of work to get him back to 100%, and then he got up and won. That was pretty cool.
What takes up so much time as a horse trainer?
What takes up time?
Yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot of admin and you see all I always have a laugh at the voice recordings. Oh, she's going well, boys. Like, yeah, definitely big chance this weekend. But obviously, there's a lot of time and all that to do that. You've got to manage the stable that you got. How many now? Did you say 12?
I've got 19 on the books. Yeah, there's 10 in work, a couple getting jogged up, and a few in the paddock.
And the early mornings, what are things that we don't see that horse trainers are doing?
Yeah, I get up at 3. So I get up at 3 at the stables by 4.
That's early, man.
It is early, but it's the best time of the day. You see the sun come up. I love it. I've always been an early person anyway. But yeah, I'm up at 3, get there, do the work, and we're normally done by 8:30, 9 o'clock. We're normally done. So you got the rest of the day to yourself to do what you need to do.
Go to the track if you're racing midweek.
Yeah. So Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays. Generally, we truck them down to the track if we need to. But yeah, we've got a really good track at home that we use a lot as well. Do
you love Saturdays? I'd imagine if I was a horse trainer, putting a suit on, if you've got a few horses that are in a main race, it must be a good feeling.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what the horse is paying for me. It's if I know he's going well. I know he's had a good gallop on Tuesday, and I know he's going well. He's a chance to do something. So we've got one run at the moment, advanced. He should have won 3 or 4 races this prep. He's just humming, and he's ran third 3 times, I think, by literally that far. All 3. And one was a 100 grand race. And it's I never spray the jockeys because it's the same as in footy. You don't mean to miss a goal. They pulled the left rein when they probably should have pulled the right rein. It's just a spur of the moment thing. A jockey I use a lot, she comes in and first, if she knows she's stuffed up, fucked up. And I love that. I prefer to do that, come in and say that than say this and that and try and make up some bullshit excuse. She knows she's fucked up. She'll just say, "I'm sorry, I fucked that one up," and I love that. That's why I keep putting her on.
Yeah, well, it's good accountability as well. No excuses, and no, they get better.
I think it shows a good jockey too when they know that it's should have gone the other way, not this way. It shows a good job.
Heaps of questions from everyone. They all want your horse tips. They want to know. You've just mentioned advanced. Any other tips you've got? Horses in work that you can expect to come out, win first up, second up. Any tips you can share?
I've got one called Can't Up Queen. I've got a really good little horse. His name's King's Honour. He's very fast. Seriously fast.
Do you time them at training?
They were a GPS, yeah. So we got a GPS unit. We chuck it on, and he's got some serious wheels. And he's got all the highest data on the GPS. And then in her first gallop, smoked him. And it was her first gallop as a 2-year-old. And she smoked him in just about every measurable thing you can have on the GPS. So I'm thinking, we own 40%, so I'm
That's good.
I'm a bit excited about this one. And so yeah, it's when you see her name up, she'll.
What was the name again for everyone?
Can't Up Queen.
Can't Up Queen. And when's that going to happen? You reckon?
Well, she's trialled. She's trialled. She'll probably need another trial, and that she's going to dictate what we do. Really, like how she pulls up, she eats, all that kind of stuff. Like they're not eating. There's something. They're not happy. So there's a lot of little signs that tell you if they're happy or if they're not happy.
Can you remind me when it's racing?
Yeah,
I'll have to put something up just to remind everyone. It'd be great.
We've actually got a horse. We've called it Tommy because it's when I first saw him, he's like doing this and his teeth. And I just thought, we're going to call him Tommy. The big chompers hanging out.
Hey, big chompers would be a good name for a horse.
Yeah. That's a fun thing, naming them. So we've got We've got Mudich Boy. He's one of our names. He's got Indigenous colours as well. We've got Roger Hayden's sister Tamara. She designed the colours for us.
Elite.
They are elite. It's a cool design. But yeah, that's part of the fun. You name them. I give weekly, fortnightly updates on how they're going, and it's a pretty cool industry to be in. Like, it's like anywhere though. Like, there's some great sides and there's some not so great sides. Great people and not so great people, but it's something I've always had a passion about.
Why do they train them so early in the morning? Like, I always think when you play footy, like, we used to see the way you train, the way you play. Most of the time they're racing between that 12 to 6 p.m. or whatever slot, but track work's so early. Is this because the jockeys aren't around?
Well, I don't actually know why everyone does it, but it's just a thing. But it's also, you think in summer in Perth, by the time it hits 8 o'clock, it's 35 degrees, and you don't want to be working in that kind of heat. So in summer mornings, we're up even earlier again because you want to get it all done before the heat kicks in. But also race days, you need to be done so you can chuck your suit on and pretty yourself up and get to the races.
What time do you go to bed?
I'm 9 o'clock. Yeah,
just get your 6.
Yeah, that's
Give a nap.
You know me, I'm pretty energetic. I don't need too much.
That's good. And it wouldn't stop when you get home, especially with the girls. Mate, thanks so much for jumping on. I'm pumped to go down and watch you in this Nines thing after this. But thanks so much for jumping on. I love getting the Freo boys, especially a leader like you that helped me out when I was there. And and also what you're doing outside with horse training now. It's so interesting. Can't wait to keep watching. And you know how interested I am. I've got so many questions and you answered pretty much most of them. But yeah, I'm sure everyone that's watching and listening will be following along. Can't wait to see that horse that you just mentioned race in a few weeks. I've got you a pair of RIXXs, mate. These are this is the dark crystal green Sohos. So they're a little present for jumping on. We always ask our guests to chuck them on and answer one question, pretty simple, but RIXX on tour. Who are 2 blokes that you played footy with that you'd love to take overseas with you, and where would you go?
Aaron and Kepler. How they look?
Yeah. Oh, mate, they look great.
Leave
them on.
Aaron and Kepler. We've had a Bali trip before. Sperry was there too, so if I could have 3, take Sperry too, but he talks a bit too much, so I'll leave
You might need a muzzle.
Leave him alone.
He'd be good at operations, though. We'd organise a great trip.
But yeah, I'd probably go back to Bali because we missed Kepler for half of Bali because second morning in, I think it was his first year he was out. Me and Aaron would get up and go for a run, like hungover, would go for a run, do what we needed to do. And we got back one morning, he's tucking into breakfast. We're at a villa, got breakfast every morning, he's tucking into breakfast. We've jumped in the pool, poked our heads out, and then we get a knock at the door. Breakfast? Kep's like, what do you mean? He's eaten the breakfast from the morning before that we hadn't touched. He'd been there for 24 hours. He got so crook, he had to be within 20 metres of a toilet for the rest of the trip. He risked it one night at Potato Head. Went to Potato Head. He risked it. He was in the swim-up bar. And he didn't make it to the toilet in time.
Oh, that is fucking putrid.
He had to go back and change his pants at the villa.
The amount of piss that especially those two, they drink a lot of piss.
Yeah, I know. I struggle to keep up. Like, I do my best, but I struggle. But
so good, mate. So good. There you go, Kep and the big spine. Sperry, if he's lucky. Mate, thanks so much for jumping on. Thanks to everyone that tunes in every week. We love your support. If you love this one, you love Ballas, you love Freo, you love horse racing, hit this one, subscribe on it, share it with all your mates. It's a cracker, and we'll see you next week on Tommy Talks. Thank you. Aces, I know I always go on about the RIXXs, but I got huge news. We have all our styles and colours restocked on the website right now. Get online, grab some sunglasses at rixxeyewear.com.au right now and use our little discount code ACES if you want a 20% discount code on the house.